And good morning. It's 7:04 on this Tuesday, September 10th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Here we are on a Tuesday morning. We welcome you to our program, which is presented by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Well, today we'll be talking about the city of Mount Juliet with Justin Beasley. But before we do that, we always start out this edition of Coleman and Company with the Health Minute, brought to you by Vanderbilt Wilson County. At some point, most everyone has experienced that discomfort in the chest known as heartburn. But the condition is more than a painful annoyance. It can do serious harm. Heartburn, or acid reflux, affects an estimated 15 million Americans daily. For relief, most people turn to over-the-counter medicines and simply try to ignore it, assuming it's no more than a nuisance. However, chronic heartburn that is not properly treated can produce serious consequences for an individual's health. These consequences include tooth decay, ulcers, inflammation, abnormal tightening of the esophagus, and even increase the risk of esophageal cancer. Now, if you struggle with chronic heartburn, talk to your provider about ways you can alleviate heartburn symptoms, and for more information, visit Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital.com. And we want to remind you of the Sips and Sounds of September, which is going to happen on September 27th, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Rural Hill Farm, which is located at 9400 Couchville Pike, Mount Juliet. The third annual Sips and Sounds of September, co-hosted by Wilson Rides, Inc. and the Mount Juliet Breakfast Rotary Club, is a fun, relaxing end of the summer evening filled with singer-songwriters in the round, silent auction, live music, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and lots of great sips of different kinds. And again, this is made possible by the Wilson Rides, Inc. and Mount Juliet Breakfast Rotary Club, and we, of course, this announcement courtesy of Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. So, with that, Justin Beasley, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman. It's always a pleasure to talk about the city of Mount Juliet. As I've told you, there's never a slow day. We're in our prime. The best days are ahead of us, and we've certainly had a great past. So we look forward every other Tuesday to have the opportunity to tell about our great city. So thanks for having us on.
All right. Well, good to hear your voice this morning, of course. I want to mention, didn't you have a special event either last weekend or sometime in the very few days ago?
Yes, sir. Saturday we had Celebrate Mount Juliet presented by Volunteer State Bank. We had our headliner Suite and Three. We had Sheree Hefner, Ava Page, a lot of musical guests, a lot of things for the kiddos, and it was a blast. We did schedule it during a time that competed with Tennessee football versus NC State. A lot of people excited about Tennessee, so that probably hurt our performance. But I do want to take a chance to especially thank our sponsors.
Yeah, well, it was good to hear your voice. Now it's good to see your face.
Coleman, I haven't seen you in a while, so I wanted to surprise you and say hello. And you know, I've used the excuse that I've got a newborn at home. Well, I wouldn't say a newborn now, 8 months, but trying to help out in the mornings when little man wakes up, Grant. But yeah. I feel like I'm afforded the opportunity now to come back and see. It's funny because I saw you at the fair, and I feel like I had seen you a lot. I feel like I haven't been away for a while, but in this capacity, it's been a minute. So glad to be back, Coleman.
Well, good to have you now sitting to my left here this morning, and. Well, did you have a Board of Commissioners meeting last night?
We did, and I want to tell you, for the sake of your audience, for the sake of you and MJ and myself, a hard one to decipher. A lot of stuff on developments and intricate details of where X, Y, and Z goes. It was almost like a planning commission meeting, just with the details of what properties are going to look like and stuff. So nothing I guess you could say substantial to report on the radio this morning. Don't want to bore your audience for sure, but we did have a meeting last night. It lasted some time.
Is there a lot of difference of opinion at this point on what the discussion was about?
No, I wouldn't say difference of opinion, but when you're an elected body member, and we have a great elected body, a great team of 5, you want to make sure that you're listening to your constituents, but also making a very smart and wise choice about each development. I would say our city, like many other cities, we're not perfect, and there have been some things in the past where you look at something, you say, man, maybe I should have done something differently here. And, now that we have such a good team assembled with so much experience, we don't want to make those same mistakes twice. So if we have to defer something or sit on something, take some time, we want to do that because we know that development is happening at a responsible rate in Mount Juliet. So when you have properties that are backing up to each other, again, there's so many decisions that we make today that will affect a homeowner maybe in 10, 15, 20 years. We just want to put ourselves in a really good spot because as Kenny Martin says last night, human beings in Mount Juliet are our number one priority, and that's what we're in the business of.
Well, some of these decisions can have far-reaching consequences, or it can affect things for years to come. And I don't think it's wrong at all to sit on something till you feel like you really know the direction you're headed in and know what it's going to bring.
Absolutely. And it's a lot, and I've heard this from some of our elected body members. They come into city government because they want to change how it's been, but then they really get into the trenches of everything and start to understand a little bit more of the process. Last night, what you saw was elected bodies saying, don't like this, don't like that. But then here comes the city attorney, Sam Burnett, newly hired, that says, well, here's what the state says about this. Here's what it says federally. And you have to realize there's this wiggle room in which you can play with, and rules are rules, and you have to put yourself in a good spot where you're protected by the city to be able to do what you want to do. But then there's some times where does a developer have more power? Does the state have more power? Can somebody just come in and do whatever they want? So you have the elected body listening and trying to understand where the homeowners are coming from, because these are the people that are going to be impacted. Then you have the elected body making the decisions. Then you have the city attorney coming alongside saying, okay, if you do this, here's the risk, here's the reward. And it's really a fine, delicate process, no different than we've done it in years past. But again, the finer details have to be ironed out in front of the public, and that's what they did last night. It's government at its best. It's transparency and trying to make everyone happy. It's hard to do, but that's
one other thing about this. Sometimes I think that the possibility of future lawsuits, being in court for maybe extended period of time, the cost of this sort of thing enters into the decision that a body might make. Does that ever play much of a role in the deliberation of the city fathers of Mount Juliet?
It's got to, and I'm not the city manager or the city attorney, but I can tell you now that we have closer to 45,000 people in the city, there's more that you open yourself up to when you have so many commercial, industrial businesses, coming and entering and going through that process. You open yourself up to more litigation than you did 20 years ago when it was half the population. So absolutely, you have to be responsible. And Kenny Martin is in all of those meetings. He understands where there are red flags and where the city could be in, some litigation. And even if the city's in the right, that there's some potential, downfall. So that's where he comes into play and says, we got to look at this from a city standpoint and what it might cost us. And he does a really good job at that, and we have a really good city attorney, Sam Burnett, and our mayor is great, elected body. They make a really good team. I say that genuinely.
All right, our program is brought to you by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital, and Justin Beasley's here. Let's see, now we used to just say public information officer, but you're actually the communications director for the city of Mount Juliet.
I am. I've responded to a lot worse. I'll promise you that. A communications director is my title, but I'm the public information officer for the fire department as well. And really, the easiest way, when I'm in social circles, public information officer, they're like, what is that? I usually just say spokesperson. So I'm thankful that I'm the spokesperson for all the departments in the city of Mount Juliet. They surely keep me busy, so we have a lot of fun, Coleman.
All right, we'll take a break right here. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford and the Works Vehicle Checkup. They'll make sure your vehicle is ready for any road. $59.95 up to 5 quarts oil, tax and disposal, tire rotation, and safety check. 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still a bit crowded over here on 65 southbound at Trinity Lane. Still some flashing lights on 40 eastbound at Briley over near the airport on what they're calling police activity. We're just glad it wasn't over in the westbound lanes where it's really slow. Now on 40 going westbound there at Spence Lane, it's loading up with more volume on 24 westbound up to Antioch coming in from Murfreesboro. Princess Hot Chicken has 2 items on the menu. Check them all out today by logging on to princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Where a patient starts their cancer care matters. And here, that means Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, Wilson County. It's Vanderbilt level care without making the drive to Nashville. From screening to diagnosis to treatment and recovery, patients can get all the care they need right here close to home. So now, having the best care team and most advanced treatment is closer than ever. Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center, making cancer care personal.
What is your passion? How can you use that passion to enrich your community? Hi, this is Melanie Minter, President and CEO of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is the resource for making connections to fulfill your passion. Whether education, nonprofit, agriculture, entertainment, or government relations, Wilson County offers a place for you to be involved. Your chamber connects businesses, individuals, and your passion to the community. We have an enthusiasm for excellence. Join us and catch the spirit. Call or visit our office at 149 Public Square in Lebanon.
We continue here on this Tuesday morning. Justin Beasley's with us from the city of Mount Juliet, and our program again brought to you by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. And I don't know what else we've got to talk about. Anything else from last night's meeting that is really significant we need to discuss?
We do have a proclamation last night that our mayor wrote. National Suicide Prevention Month is this month in September. We have a remembrance tree at our park Town Center Trail on Division Street. You can go by and get a ribbon if you've had somebody that has fallen to suicide. And Brenda Harper came by last night, received a proclamation, and this is just a partnership, one of the many that we do as a city to come alongside anyone that feels strongly and passionate about something that affects our community. And you look at Mount Juliet, and there's so many great people, such great school systems, such vibrancy and zest for life that people have. But we in the city put our pants on one leg at a time like everyone else, and we have the same struggles. So we do want to recognize that. A lot of the stuff we do with these proclamations and these awarenesses we do through our clock tower. So we'll light the clock tower a different color. If somebody will email us or Tyler Chandler, we do a lot of that. And, it's like, it really comes from our city manager. We're trying to, even though we're growing, trying to still make it a small town, home-like feel. And, it just takes a simple email to us. And if you make a compelling case, which it's not much, hey, can you light the clock tower this for my kid who X, Y, and Z, and we'll do it. And we like to think that that's what separates us from the pack, and that's what we care about as our community, as we call loving on. Kenny Martin says a lot. I mentioned our sponsors. Our sponsors that did the Celebrate Mount Juliet presented by Volunteer State Bank. Miss Tina Burrs came to speak with you 2 weeks ago. Her and Sean Glover are also sponsoring the Mayor's Cup. That'll come up on Halloween. That's when Mount Juliet plays Green Hill. So I do want to show them some love. They put their name on many great events, and the biggest and best ones coming up with the Mayor's Cup. And then you also have, when you look at the grand scope of things, our safety night with Mount Juliet Police Department. That'll be held adjacent to their property at Parks, and tons of people come out to that and really get to touch a fire truck, get to touch a police car, meet our first responders. They present that as well as the sponsor. So you can't say enough about Volunteer State Bank, the ladies there, and really their brand of giving back to the community. We certainly appreciate that. And Safety Night, sometime in October, I promise you won't miss that. We will inundate you with news and press releases about
is that going to be the same time that it's held in other places?
It's not. So we help with the one in Lebanon, and they have a different name for that. Again, I'm not always in the police world.
Theirs is going to be on the 1st of October because we talked about that recently, maybe even yesterday.
And we come alongside them in Mount Juliet, and we show up to theirs, and then they show up to ours, and it's just one.
Which will be a little bit
It's two
later.
big parties. It's not one big party. It's two big parties. We have two of those. So
But a little bit later in October?
Yes, sir. I believe ours is going to be after theirs, as it was last year. So it's a fun event.
Well, 2 is better than 1.
Two is better than 1. The math checks out for that for sure. So,
but that's an opportunity that you don't always get. I mean, our first responders, their first obligation is emergency situations and serious stuff. This is serious in a different way. At least it's a fun night and an opportunity to get to see that our first responders, and especially police officers, are human beings too.
It's serious in a different way because if you look at it, we don't take those events lightly, especially the police department and fire department. You know, fire, there's been the feel of, you're a fireman kid. Like my son loves fire trucks. That's all he cares about. Whereas police, the national response to police is, they write tickets, they put you in jail. So there's some part of the communications team that has to humanize our police officers. And Tyler Chandler has done that for a dozen years. And now we can say that Mount Juliet, not now as if we couldn't later, but Mount Juliet supports our first responders like no other city per capita of our 43,000. That is something Tyler Chandler contributed to greatly, but we also continue to do that on a year in, year out basis with our Coffee with the Cops, having them work off duty at churches, things of that nature. That's really important to us because we want that community trust that we have built, and we want to maintain that. So, they're not fighting bad guys that night because obviously we're inviting the community to have fun and have a hot dog, some chips and drinks. But it's very important to us to continue to build those relationships, if that makes sense, Coleman.
Yeah, you used to do TV sports. I think you still have a heart for sports, some of them, maybe not all of them. But what I'm getting at, it used to be you had Mount Juliet High School. Now that you've got Green Hill, how has that changed as far as the sports world in Mount Juliet? And even, I'll bet you that I would think that even on your council, the 5 of you that met last night, some of them have an allegiance to Green Hill, some to Mount Juliet. It's kind of split.
How'd you know that?
Well, with your different districts, I would think you okay.
I'm not one that is always politically correct, but I'm smart enough to like both Green Hill and Mount Juliet evenly. I'll say that. And I know a couple of our elected body members feel the same way. Excuse me. I will tell you what 2 high schools has created there, and don't forget about Wilson Central too, because even though that high school is not located in Mount Juliet, it is has many students that live in Mount Juliet there. They're competitive. I'll tell you that. They have different sports leagues, and they have different systems in which they're brought up, and they want to beat each other.
Yeah.
And they want to beat each other badly. Mount Juliet feels like it's their territory, and Green Hill feels like they're the new and up-and-comers. But I tell you, Green Hill beat them last year, and it's I'm looking forward to the game this year. We'll see what happens. It's on Halloween night. I don't know how. Our police department's blessed with many officers that do a really good job with a great reserve unit as well. I don't know that we have enough bodies to do it all, but I promise you we'll figure out a way to do it. To have Halloween and the Mayor's Cup and direct traffic and all that, it's going to be a busy night in the city of Mount Juliet for sure.
Well, by the way, congratulations to the Golden Bears for taking care of Gallatin last week.
They did. They did big time. They didn't give up any points. They played a really good game. I heard that Gallatin walked through their warm-ups at the beginning of the game, right through the middle of it, and it made Mount Juliet a little upset. That's just a scuttlebutt I hear, so that'll get them riled up, Coleman.
Yes, a few little instances like that can make for a whole different ball game.
It does. Yeah. It does. That's why we got to realize that the pros and the college guys on the TV, they make an influence on these high school kids.
Well, what else do we need to talk about? I mean, there's you're still a growing area. You're still dealing with growing pains and an influx of people. Our county is still growing. We're really moving to the east, but the west is still dominant, I guess.
It is. I will say tonight we have an event at Just Love Coffee tonight from 6:30 to 7:30. Just Love Coffee in Providence. And Tracy Vitella and her sister and team, they do a fantastic job at really giving back to our community. They're going to host us tonight for a parks discussion. As you know, we passed a resolution to not have a park in which we want to build potentially on Clemens Road, not to exceed. I believe that number was around $14 million. But the thing is, we need input from our residents and citizens on, do you want one pool? Do you want two pools? Do you want how many X number of basketball courts? Do you want a walking trail around it? Do you want room for food trucks? Do you X, Y, and Z? It's ours, the city of Mount Juliet's, but it's really theirs, the citizens. So we need their input to make sure that we're giving them the best product possible. So we had one at the paper mill about 2 months ago. Justin Reagan there was a great host. We had about 60 or 70 people. Our thought, and this is where I come into it, a lot of the times we have these at City Hall. It's stuffy. You got a boardroom. You think of politics in there. We're taking this to the restaurants that are closed normally at this time, and we're hoping if 50, 60 people come, each order a meal, that's going to be an economic boost for those business owners. So why have it when you can eat and recreate and invite people? All of our great meetings and all of our great things that happen always circled around food. So we're hoping to create that same atmosphere tonight.
Well, that's I think you're really inviting the people, the population, to come and let's reason together. Let's decide what we want, and everybody, I suppose, is able to express themselves, offer input for something like this, and then there's got to be a feeling of community ownership a little bit.
Absolutely. You know, we had a full room last night at the Board of Commissioners meeting, and many of our elected bodies said, thank you for coming out, and we appreciate your opinions and concerns. That's how government works. That's the best way it's run, is for us to take their input and to find a way to compromise and figure out the best scenario for everybody, because we're serving the citizens. Make no bones about it. Government work is not to be flashy. It's not to take credit. It is to serve our citizens, and that comes from the top down to the bottom from Kenny Martin. So that's what we're doing tonight. And let me tell you, from an elected body standpoint, it's bold to have somebody from your region come and say, hey, I think your plan for one pool is extremely, irresponsible. I want three. Yeah. You know, you got to listen to that, and you got to hear it, and you got to respond. So kudos to them for hearing the opinion and truly, sincerely making it their recreation center and not ours.
At the same time, you do, for the most part, have to live within your means. If you overspend, that can be a bad thing. So common sense kind of has to prevail, but that doesn't mean you can't have some ideas, even some that might come from left field, so to speak.
Absolutely. I mean, the last one at the paper mill, we had a woman who was very she was very involved in the swimming scene, and she told us, if you build this pool, you're not going to be able to have these meets. And if you build it a little bit wider, a little bit longer, you're going to have these meets. If you have these stands in the side, you're going to be able to hold more people. Well, in my head, from economic development background that I'm pursuing, alongside Kenny Martin, who's asked me to help out with that department, I'm thinking of, okay, people are coming here. They're going to shop at Sisters Whimsy. They're going to shop at Just Love Coffee, and then they're going to leave our city and come back. That's really important. So that's things to consider, as opposed to just throwing a pool out there, nobody being able to watch, not being able to hold meets. So it's really, as we said it last night with our Board of Commissioners, it's really a huge process. You got to think of everything. You got to weigh the pros and cons. You got to make a decision and be confident in it.
Yeah. All right, we got just a minute left here this morning. Good to have you live in studio with us. You're how many? You got more than one child now?
I do have two. Yes,
Both
sir.
boys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well,
boys are the best.
I was scared to say it. What's the oldest one's name?
Oldest one is Brady. He's 2 and some change, and then Grant is 8 months, I believe. And boys are the best. They're a lot of fun. I've been told, I'm like, boys are the best. They're so fun. But I'm hearing that daughters and women are the one that take care of mom and dad when they're sick and later in their years. So maybe I need to rear these boys up to love dad and mom and to have some motherly instincts in them. Maybe I'm going to pay for that on the back end, Coleman.
Oh, Justin, you are a talker. And
I get it from you, Coleman. I learn from the best.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Coleman.
That is part one of Coleman and Company, and of course brought to you by Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. Stay with us for more right here on FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Absolute Kubota. High performance, high horsepower, 0% financing is still a thing. Now is the best time to save on new Kubota L-Series tractors, rated #1 for durability and owner experience in the U.S. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still some flashing lights over here on 40 eastbound at Briley Parkway near BNA Airport on a police situation. Of course, it's really heavy on the westbound side. 40 westbound there at Spencer Lane. It's still heavy, but moving 24 west up through Antioch. Coming in from Murfreesboro, starting to also load up pretty good with volume. Vietnam Vets westbound at Conference Drive. All that traffic coming in from Sumner County. Hey, whether you need a new roof repair, roof inspection, anything to do with your roof, call Independent Roofing Specialist. Check out their website, irsroofs.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome to Hearthside Senior Living, Lebanon's unique senior living community designed for seniors to age in place, all within a safe, comfortable, and Christian environment. Beautiful retirement homes designed for an independent lifestyle with maintenance-free living. Hearthside Senior Living also continues the excellent tradition of assisted living for those seniors who need additional services. Hearthside Senior Living, an independent retirement community and assisted living community, all on one campus in the heart of Lebanon. Call 615-443-1994 for a tour.
Join us Saturday, September 14th for the 21st annual Sherry's Run 5K Run Walk to benefit Sherry's Hope. The event starts at 8 a.m. at 623 West Main Street in Lebanon. Come run or walk and give hope to families in our community who are battling cancer. Enjoy a silent auction, live music, and more. Register now at sherrysrun.org and make plans to join us Saturday, September 14th for the Sherry's Run 5K Run Walk to benefit Sherry's Hope.
The weather remains mostly sunny for today with highs in the upper 80s. Partly cloudy tonight, lows in the upper 50s, and then mostly sunny again for Wednesday. Highs around 90. This weather forecast brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. With your Severe View forecast, I'm Storm Specialist Drew Richards.
We welcome you to part two of Coleman and Company. It is a Tuesday, and Sean Dozier is here, as per always, to represent Hearthside Senior Living. Good morning.
Good morning, Coleman.
Nice to see you. I saw you at lunch yesterday.
I appreciate you
Can
coming.
we go ahead and mention this just a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll be here tomorrow, Rusty Richardson, but he did just a great job yesterday. His presentation at Kiwanis Club of Lebanon, he was the speaker and told about 9/11, 23 years ago tomorrow, and some things that he brought out I'd never thought of, never heard before, and I bet it was the same for you.
Well, it was a great presentation, and I'm glad he's talking about it. You know, I told him yesterday, a lot of people don't talk about 9/11 anymore, and he's teaching those kids over at Cumberland who weren't even born at the time, and really going into detail about it. And in fact, on Wednesday, he's given the presentation, excuse me, three or four times during the day. So I encourage people, if they're around that area, to check it out. I don't know where it's going to be, but I'm sure you can go to their website and find out about it. But it's a great presentation, and I know I know everybody was really inspired and encouraged by the people that there are a lot of heroes on that day that you didn't know about, and he shared about that. In fact, Coleman, he's my Hearthside Hello, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way. He did a great job, and I appreciate him coming to Kiwanis. I appreciate you coming. MJ showed up yesterday. I appreciate her being there.
I appreciate being invited.
Well, it was nice to have you. It was very nice to have you. I know Rotary tries to get you to come over to their place sometime, but we're glad to have. You're a former Kiwanian, may I say that?
I am a former Kiwanian.
You don't show up
anymore.
Well, you don't show up anymore to Kiwanis.
Well, I did yesterday.
But you did yesterday, yeah. Well, I appreciate you being there. But anyway, Coleman, this week, if I can transition to Hearthside.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
We need to.
This week is Assisted Living Week, and across the country, and we're celebrating assisted livings literally across the country, and we're doing that at Hearthside this week, and we've got several things planned this week. Today is golf cart rides. I'm going to take the residents around the community in golf carts, get them out in the fresh air, and we're always mindful of.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm always mindful of safety. I think about that assisted living east of here that during Assisted Living Week they decided to get a kiddie train to take the residents around the parking lot. Well, when they went down the parking lot, down the hill, the train tipped over and threw the residents out, and they got in big trouble from the state and all that. So I really play it safe. So we do golf cart rides. We don't do train rides or anything like that. We kind of one person at a time. So we keep it safe. But that's today. And then tomorrow we got the balloon guy coming. The residents always enjoy that. Thursday night we have a magician coming who I think is incredible. He Bruce Armarto. He's going to be there at 6 o'clock in the dining hall. So if anybody wants to see a great show, a magician show, bring the kids. It's going to be great. That's going to be 6 o'clock Thursday night. And then Friday we have a big fish fry for the entire community. But we celebrate assisted living. We have 4 here in town, and I know all their administrators, and they all do a great job. And there's several different types of assisted living. We're one type. There's some that have memory care. There's some that have that do hospice care. So it just depends on what circumstance you're in at the time is what you need. But Hearthside continues to be one of those options here in town that if you're thinking about assisted living long term, we would encourage you to check us out. I had a guy put on Facebook, I think on Hip Lebanon Saturday, asking folks about assisted livings, and several people mentioned Hearthside, and I appreciate that. I direct messaged him and said I'd love to give you a tour, and he actually came by. So we're always giving tours. We're always opening up the door to new people, and as we celebrate Assisted Living Week, don't think of it as a nursing home. Don't think of it as think of it as a community. Think of it as a place where people live, where people reside. And so this week, if you're out and about and you have a friend or a family member in assisted living, I would encourage you to stop by and see them, because they really do appreciate those visits.
All right, that is wonderful, and of course, we probably can't point out too much. You are locally owned and managed, and that makes a difference.
30 years locally owned and managed. We celebrate that in November.
Well, your decisions are made right here.
Right
you
there.
You don't have some corporate head in Timbuktu or Kalamazoo or wherever.
And I've worked for those companies in the past, and they've provided me a good living. But I love being a locally owned community where we just get around the table and do what's best for the resident. And I think that's what has made Hearthside successful over the years.
But you are still full up
We're
in
full.
those categories.
We're full, and in our independent living and our assisted living, and that's a good problem to have.
Well, if you're interested in either, go ahead and get on the waiting list.
Get on the waiting list and call me at 615-443-1994, or stop by or visit our website at hearthsideliving.com.
And once again, the Hearthside Hello today.
Rusty did a great job yesterday. So, again, we'll be flying our flag at Hearthside half-staff tomorrow. So let's all remember that day on 9/11.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Hopefully see you next Tuesday. Sean Dozier, he's Executive Director of Hearthside Senior Living, Retirement and Assisted Living Community at 215 Castle Heights Avenue North. Well, we're 22 before the hour, and today is the day that we're going to feature the Lebanon Special School District, and Mr. Hutto is here this morning. Good morning to you, Brian.
Morning there, Coleman. How are you?
I'm doing well. I watched a little bit of the Monday Night Football after the Reds managed to beat the Braves 1-0.
I heard that.
Yeah. What happened last night was a score that they've never had in pro football before.
Okay.
There's a name for that, and I forget what it is. But you'd think of all the games that's been played, you'd have every score possible, but there are a few that hasn't been.
You would think that. I missed it. So what happened?
Well, I don't know. I don't even. The 49ers won.
Okay.
Beat whoever they were playing. I have to think again there, but it was the score that never been those two numbers before.
How about that? How about that? No, we were soccer last night in Cookeville. Walter J. Baird played. My daughter plays, and so we rode up the road and played Prescott Middle. Had a great match. Ended up in a tie, but we'll take it. So they've got district next week tournament. So athletics are full tilt.
If you're around me long, you know I haven't developed that love for soccer yet. I had a grandson who was very good, but that was in another state. But you don't break a tie. I mean that
correct. Unless it's a tournament. No, it ends in a draw, which is a hard pill to swallow for us competitive folks. Not that there's any in the room, but I like to have an ending to it. But it was a good match, and Coleman soccer is huge.
Yeah,
it really. If you head over, I'm glad they're building our new fields, and somebody was going through Castle Heights the other day, and it's just it's a great thing for our families, for our city, and then of course our schools each have not knocking any of the other sports because they're full tilt too. Volleyball, I think they were in Knoxville this past weekend, took second in the tournament. Football, both schools just doing a great job. So lots of good things happening.
Well, I'm just thinking. I mean, it's been a while, but when I was growing up. There were football games that ended in ties. They didn't have a tiebreaker.
Okay.
I remember Lebanon played Portland 2 years. I think it was 2 years in a row, and they tied both years.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Wow. I bet that was difficult to swallow.
Well, it's sometimes
just the way it was
in a tie.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Well, what's happening with Lebanon Special School District? What do we need to talk about this morning?
Sure. So we're going to do a little preview. We've got a board meeting on just a different date. It's going to happen on Thursday this week. Had some scheduling things, but excited about that. First order of business, we're going to swear in Miss Heather Sadler-Gallagher as our new board member. Got to give a shout out to Mr. Steve Jones, 30-plus years of service. Really just he's obviously going to miss it. We're going to miss him. We've gotten to celebrate him, and he did great things, oversaw great things. But flipping that, Heather's ready. She's eager. We've already started the orientation process for her, and that's been fun. This is, of course, my first new board member. And so we've gotten to start that process, and we'll continue. So that'll kick off our meeting Thursday night, and then we've got a full agenda, and we'll dive into some of those other pieces. Wanted to give folks an enrollment update. We're at 4,627 students.
Let me write this. Oops. Let me write this down here and drop my pen. 27. Okay.
4,627 students. And so I get asked two questions pretty much daily. Talk to me about busing and building. Transportation has been a challenge, and I've got to give a shout out as well to our drivers, our transportation director. They are diligently working to get kids on the bus, get them there, get them home. We're just at a place, Coleman, where the growth, we need more drivers. And so wanted to take this opportunity, talk a little bit about driving. It's not one of those, you need a CDL, obviously, but then there's a process because, they're transporting our most precious commodity, our students, and we want to make sure they're safe and they're home. And so I wanted to spend a little time this morning talking about driving, things we do, and if anybody's interested. But then I want to talk about growth. That's that second question is when are you going to build a new school? I bet that happens 3 times a day. And Coleman, you're familiar with Lebanon Special, and one of the things people might not know, we carry our own debt. Mm-hmm. So a county government, they've got a county government within the county schools. So for us, it's kind of like buying a house. We've got to be able to afford the mortgage. We have to be good stewards of our funds. So if we want to do a build, we've got to make sure that we can float those payments. So blessed that we've got property for 2 sites. But those are the 2 big things that are out there right now. Of course, starting school, we're a month in, and it has been a fantastic start. Just really good.
Well, are you with the 4,627 students? Are you really crowded in any of those schools?
We've got pockets, so the growth has been a lot. We've experienced a lot of growth. There are some buildings that have experienced more. That, of course, follows the development and the age of the development. And so we've got some buildings that they're using spaces. They're using all the spaces. So the board, and we've talked about that, and of course we've all three members, and Steve was included in that. Joel and Mark and Heather. That's a priority that we make sure, because our mission is to serve our students, committed to a community of excellence, and to do that we've got to make sure we've got the spaces to take care of them.
Your middle schools, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, two of those, are they, either one of them, really crowded?
So Walter J. Baird has got the bulk of the enrollment. We're seeing Winfrey Bryant pick up. And one of the things we track that by is we look at our kindergarten. So what's coming in versus what's exiting. And so as we look, we've got around 500 or so 8th graders exiting. We've got around 800 kindergartners entering. So we've got a little time, but we're at a place where we want to stay ahead of that curve. And so, we're working and looking at all the options. And for folks, options are, you can do additions. That's somebody I said, hey, why don't you just build on? And one of the issues with that, for an older building, if you add on, you've got to bring the whole building up to codes, which isn't always economically feasible. But we've got two, Winfrey Bryant and Jones Brummett, newer campuses. So that would be an option there. You've got zoning that you can look at, and that's one of the conversations we're having, and that gets everybody really bent out of shape. So don't take that's happening, but we want to make sure all the options are on the table. And of course, a new build would it's costly. Coleman, when we built Jones Brummett, it was $26 million. A new build, the exact same floor plan, $42 million.
Wow, that's a big increase.
$42 million.
the same thing.
The exact same.
With the maybe whatever additions you'd have to do now to be to codes or whatever.
Sure.
But building the same type, same size, from $26 million to $42 million.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir. And so for a smaller school district, and reverting back to that, we're going to carry our own debt. We've got to make sure that our funding mechanisms support the total package and not just that building. It's kind of like, if you go buy a really fancy car, but you can't afford it and it just sits in the driveway, right? So we want to make sure that all those pieces, and we're working through it, and we'll find a solution. Our representative, Senator Pody and Clark Boyd, they would be involved in that process, and of course they're always open to a phone call. And I actually just talked to Mr. Pody, Senator Pody, the other day, just about what do you think? Because he's got plenty of wisdom. So yeah.
Okay, Brian Hutto is Director of Schools for the Lebanon Special School District, my guest this morning, and we'll talk more after we go to this break. You're on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. This is all brought to you by our friends at Bates Ford. Get a battery installed on most vehicles. $149.95. Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Still pretty crowded over here now. Trying to get past the airport on I-40 coming through Hermitage, Donaldson. All that traffic flow coming in from Wilson County there into Hermitage. It's loading up with more volume. Be careful on 24 westbound at Bell Road, Haywood Lane. All that traffic being pushed in right now from Murfreesboro, Rutherford County towards Nashville. Hey, Nash Painting, a non-franchise painting company. Mention this ad, get a 10% discount. Call Nash Painting today, 912-2288. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
The refreshing cool after coming in from a hot summer day. The perfect temperature to kick off your shoes and relax with a good book. When the weather heats up, a new Rheem AC system will surround your family in total comfort. Are you feeling it? Rheem, the new degree of comfort.
Financing available through TVA's Energy Right program and your local power company. Call Randy's Heat and Air 237-3604.
Rheem, the new degree of comfort.
Are you facing a challenging time that you need help navigating? Well, look no further than your local law firm of Kane & Crowell. At the offices of Kane & Crowell, we understand the complexities that come with family law matters. Whether you're going through a divorce, working through child custody or support matters, or needing a will or trust drafted to protect your family assets for future generations. Kane & Crowell, 615-784-4800. Your local leaders in family law matters.
We continue here on a Tuesday morning. Brian Hutto, Director of Schools, is with us. What else we need to address this morning, sir?
Sure. I want to circle back to transportation just for folks. Right. So as far as buses go, the board approved. We've purchased buses. We've got 2 on the way. Now, buses take a little over a year to get here. From the day you order them, they don't just have them sitting around. And so they're building that bus for that school district. So you're looking at about a year. We've ordered some back July, so they'll be here. We're hopefully we'll push those on. And to drivers, once you've got that CDL, you can come in. It's about a 2-month process when it's all, if you do all the pieces. So there's several certification components, there's videos, there's assessment, all good, all necessary. But we've got 3 right now in the pipeline, and they're in that training process, and we're of course chomping at the bit, because as soon as we get them on, then we can open some routes, and that's what we really want to do. We've got a few buses, several that have a waiting list, and that's frustrating. It's frustrating for us. It's frustrating for the families. It's not what we want. But we're working that.
Well, looking at this from a bus driver's standpoint, and the selling point that you've got to offer here, you make pretty good money for the time you work.
Sure, yes, sir.
You have, I would think, fairly short routes. I mean, I'm trying to think of how deep if you were driving for the county, and I mean, just comparing the two, your district is relatively small geographically, so right. You're not going to have a big long bus route. You can probably how long's the average?
The day. I mean, let's say 3 hours of work, and some may be longer than that for the total day. Mm-hmm. So you've got an hour and a half in the morning. Some have more than that. Now, we've got several drivers running double routes. So they'll run, and then they'll head back out. So to your point, though, shorter day, we start out at $100 a day, and that goes up. Afternoons, we have bus aides. The morning, those kids are they're fairly docile in the morning. But the afternoons, we've got another adult on the bus. That's just there. They go up and down the aisle. They're talking to kids. If there's any issues, they navigate that. So the driver, we want them to be able to just drive the bus.
Yeah. Well, times change, and there's a good reason to do that. But it has to make the driving part easier, not to be worried about the behavior. You got somebody else looking at that.
Sure, it's a huge benefit, and most of our employees serve in that capacity. So our EAs, we've got some teachers, and I've got a friend that she does it. That's one of her favorite parts of the day. Is get on that bus in the afternoon, and she'll check in on how their day went. And so, if you really think about it, beyond the paycheck and beyond the service, what they can do for a kid to start a day and to finish a day, it's pretty powerful. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to minimize that, because bus drivers, and we want to take care of them. But, to your point, $100 a day is where we start out. Of course, we've got incentives throughout. If you continue to drive, there's bonus structure. We've got attendance structure. So,
well, if we have, as I would say, whetted somebody's appetite to be a bus driver, what do they need to call?
Yeah, just call the central office 449-6060. Ask for Mr. Ashley, or just say, hey, I'm interested in driving. We'll have somebody in contact. We've actually hired an individual. He's a driver to work with those that are in the training process. So not only you get a tutor per se, to help make sure.
If you already have that CDL, I guess you could start sooner.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. If you've got that CDL, or you had it previously, but if you have that and come in, I had a dad. So this is a great story. Had a dad that's frustrated about transportation, and his boys, they were newer, and the bus was full. And so when the bus is full, we got to go through. And at the start of school, some people are riding, some people aren't. And so what I really enjoyed about him is he had a solution. He said, listen, I'm a mechanic in Smyrna. I've got a CDL. If there's some way that you all can hire me, I would come in a second to make sure these kids get back and forth to school. So we're working with him to creatively figure out, because, the more we talked, he really enjoyed his job, and he's very good at it. And so we're going to try and get him on a sub capacity and do the afternoons. But, people understand how important it is. And all of our families, I know they're frustrated, but they're very gracious about it. And we want to get them. We want to get them on a bus and get them there. So, yeah.
Do you have any other shortage, either teacher or other personnel other than bus drivers?
Currently, special education, it's a special calling. and we're staffed. Some of our more comprehensive classes, that was a challenge to get those staffed, and currently we are. But it's one of those, if for young folks or folks that are interested, we have a massive amount of support. And I was having a conversation down at the Capitol last week. We were talking about licensure, and one of the points we wanted to make was, is it enticing for a young person to want to go into education? Of course, near and dear to my heart, I say yes. But when folks look around and they see the world of education, maybe that ends up on social media or in the news, they're like, I don't know that I want to do that. But we encourage them to come and do their visits and get in that program. I wouldn't trade my experience for anything, teacher, coach, administrator. So, yeah, as far as staffing, EAs, we're always looking for EAs. We added a herd of those, just additional educational assistants, which your wife did that for a long time. Mm-hmm. That's the backbone between the secretaries and EAs. Wow. Yeah.
Well, some to pursue a career in education, if you stop and think about that a little bit, I mean, if you want to just be a school teacher for how many ever years till you retire, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But most people don't have to just stay in that one path. I mean, you've been a coach, as you said, now an administrator, and there are a lot of opportunities to do something different. Maybe you could have 2 or 3 jobs within that system over your career.
Oh, certainly. And I had a conversation with another teacher the other day. She was like, I'm just feeling a little stale. And that's when we get to that point, then that's where we need to look, are there different grade levels? Is it a different subject? Do we need to bring in some other, what's going to get that fire lit? Because that's what we need. Those kids, they Benny Bills was my principal at Gallatin High School. He was a superintendent in Sumner County. He actually ended up in the special school district. And he said, Brian, first words, he said, as a teacher, he said, Brian, a child's never going to do nothing. They're either going to do what you want them to do or what they want to do. So you better have a plan, and that has stuck with me. And so when we're talking to our teachers and trying to keep them motivated, they're phenomenal. I mean, just their passion and care is really impressive.
There really is a challenge, and each child presents a challenge of a sort.
Of course,
to some extent.
They're all unique.
Yeah.
And my goal is always that school is the best part of every kid's day, whether they need it or not. Some kids, they have all the things. They have all the support. They've got, and some don't. And so regardless, we want that to be the best part of their day. Now, is it going to be the part they love the most? If you ask a kid when they get when they get home, what'd you do today? Most of the time they're going to say, nothing. Right? And that is far from the truth. So I always challenge our families, just, where was the victory today? Where were you challenged today? And they'll be able to find answers. But to your point, they are unique. They're fun. And they're challenging at times, but there's always a reason.
Well, if you'd like more information, you feel like you could serve in any of the capacities we've talked about this morning, I guess just start with a phone call.
Start with a phone call.
449-6060.
Start with a phone call. We've got some programs just for folks that want to become teachers that aren't. We're offering tuition reimbursement for EAs that want to pursue a degree. We've got a Grow Your Own program that we've really started last year that's picking up speed, and that is, who can we work with? Is it a sub? Is it an EA? Is it someone in the community that's got a degree that feels that passion? We've got Dr. Armstrong, who was at Castle Heights before. She's heading up that program, so you've got a person to help you.
Yeah. Well, we got about 2.5 minutes left. If you joined us late, Brian Hutto is here, Director of Schools, Lebanon Special School District. It's a little early to talk about fall break, but as we say, it'll be here before you know it.
It'll be here before you know it. Hey, that's a great segue. We're also working on calendar committee. We do that with Wilson County. Now, we don't always align. They've got exams and elections and different things. So, but great partnership there. We started our first calendar committee. So, yeah, that first 2 weeks of October will be our fall break. And we're currently drafting for the next 2 years, so that's in process. And then just a reminder, board meeting is Thursday evening, 5 o'clock at Winfrey Bryant. We're going to be in the auditorium since we're going to swear in Miss Heather Sadler-Gallagher. We want to have plenty of room. I know we'll have guests. And then big agenda, lots of items that we'll run through. And so, yeah, it should be a good meeting.
And the soccer's going great.
Soccer's going great. All the sports are going great. Excited about it. And it's football's time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Brian, we don't usually run out of things to talk about. I know that we've run out. Just we haven't thought of more yet. But you are in hiring mode for several opportunities.
Sure.
I want everybody to remember that. But even though there's some challenges here, you are really off to a good year.
We are off to a good year. And Coleman, we've got several new principals this year that we've talked about previously, and really proud of our instructional team for the support they've provided. As far as day-to-day, schools are doing really good work. Proud of them, excited about this year, looking forward to seeing the progress they make. So, yeah, 2 thumbs up for the process. Challenges, obviously, we're going to have those, and thankful to have a team to work through all those pieces. So, yeah, we're in good shape.
Well, and no doubt your door's open if anybody wants to discuss anything with you. You can always call the number and get you on the phone or make an appointment if you want to talk in person. And we like to talk to you in person each month here, so we'll do it again in October.
That sounds great.
And thanks for being with us today.
Appreciate you, Coleman. Have a great day.
Brian Hutto, Director of Schools for Lebanon Special School District. And that's going to do it for this Tuesday morning. We'll remind you, Rusty Richardson will be here tomorrow to talk about Cumberland University, and tomorrow is 9/11, so we don't want to forget that. And until tomorrow, I wish you a terrific day.